Welcome back. So as you can see in today's video we are going to learn about API automation testing with Postman. So why we require doing automation testing? So let's understand first thing. So when we using any tool like a Postman and running our API test cases, we do manual intervention where we run our APIs through the manually providing a data through the manual. So when we can work with the manual way, why we require the automation? So when you are working with the APIs, you require to test with the multiple data with the multiple scenarios. So if you are doing a multiple scenarios with the multiple data through the manual way, it will become hard and it will be a time consuming. So in that way, when I require to run my APIs with a multiple set of data, so in that case I require the automation way, the automated way. So my test case will uh, run each and individual data set which will be provided to our APIs. So this is why we use automation whenever we want to execute or run a process, a similar process with a different set of data or a different set of inputs. That time we use always automation to reduce our execution time and increase the efficiency. So in the same way, the Postman tool we can use it for automation our APIs. So let's get started and see how the Postman will can be used and the capabilities of the Postman to provide as automation testing for APIs. So let's get started. Now this is the Postman and this is the API which we have used to create a different APIs call by using a different methods. For the more details about it, please go the Postman for Beginners video where we have explained functionalities and the capabilities of the Postman and how you can create a different use a different methods of the HTTP and create the APIs test over here. So let's get started. So now let's run our first test case. So this is one of my API method which I am using it, and in this what I am doing, I am just getting the status of my API whenever I hit this, and I want to see what is my status. So let's run it. So you can see this is my status. This is the status is getting as a okay. You can see the HTTP status code 200, which explains me that my HTTP request is successful. Now, when we talk about writing a test automation, we have to create a test cases. So how we are going to do that? So in this over here, you can see the tab task. Click on this. Now, for writing a test scripts in Postman, you required a knowledge of JavaScript. But if you don't have a JavaScript knowledge, that's fine. You can use some of these snippets provided by the Postman and work on it. So let's take the first example from over here. So this is the status code is 200. So let me use it. When you click on this, it will copy the snippet over here. So this is, you can see, and let's run it first. I run it. So now over here you can see the test results over here. So let me click on this, the test results, and see this says as a pass stated course is 200. So what exactly it is? So in this case, the PM is my object for Postman, and we're going to use this. And the test is my function, which required two parameters. One parameter a string name, or you can say the test case name, the test name, and the second is function where we are going to define what scenario or a use case we have to execute it. So this is how we run it. And by using a dot operator, you can access all the methods, properties available in the Postman itself. So let's see that. Now, if you can see over here, this is the JSON comes in a JSON response. But JavaScript will see into the object side. So we have to create the objects in this. So For that we need to parse this JSON first. So how we are going to do that? So let's say we are going to create one variable and using pm dot response. Always remember that it will always start with a pm. So response dot, now this is my method JSON which will pass it. So JSON, this is, now I'm going to print this. So this is, let me copy this and paste it over here. Now this is, and before that let me open my console. This is my console, let me clear it, and now let's run this one. So you can see this is the status which I got in a format of JavaScript object. Now there's another way to get this. If I need to see the value, what is the value which I received, so for that console dot log. Now I write response dot, I can write directly the status, or there is another way in which I can use it, response and a bracket in a single quote. I can give the name of my object over here. So this is how I'm going to do that, right? So now let's run it again. Now you can see it's giving me the same results, right? The value of this key. Now let's run write another test case. So I will start the pm dot test. Now I have to give the string name, the test case test name first. So let's say validate the value, writing function. So there's another way to write a function, define a function. This is how the standardly we define, or you can define what is written over here in this as a function over here. Now let's do that. Pm dot, now I'm going to use the expected, this one expected. I say the value or any message we have to define one dot to be equal to. Now this is what I have done. I am saying that check whether the 1 equal to 2. I know that this is going to be fail, and this is why I'm using it to show when the test case is failed what will happen. So let me close this console first and run it again. You can see my body will come, but over here you can see 1 out of test case is 1 out of 2. That means there is a 1 test case is passed out of 2, right? So let's see. So you can see the status code is 200, valid the value assertion expected 1 to deeply equal to 2, right? Let's take another example. If I say pm dot test, or let me do the same one, but in this case what I'm going to do, I'll just remove this part, the assertion part, and run it, and we'll see what happened. You can see that. So whenever you are not writing anything into your test case in the function, it will always give you a by default as a pass. Remember that, right? So now let's see. If I say pm dot test, pm dot expected, now I say that in my JSON response, the status value, I know the what would be the status value, and I need to compare that. So let me say response dot status to be equal equal and okay. So this is how, so this result, this is the value which I know, this is my expectation, and this is the actual, right? So now let's run it and see whether we get the result or not. So this is how the error is. It's saying, what is saying, reference error response, because the value is over here is wrong. So yeah, so this is, see, you can always remember, you can see the values, if the error is coming, you can have to see that. I'll show you some of the errors. So now this is, you can see that, right? So let's say if I say the status and write it over in a this way, deliberately I change this, so you can see there was an error in evaluating the test script JSON array unexpected token this, and the body will see. Now I'm not getting any JSON, right? And over here you can see the 404 node. So let's see, the requested resources could not be found but may be available again in the future. Subsequent requests by the client are permissible. So you can see that, right? This is kind of error we are getting it. So you have to always remember that whenever the error comes, you have to go through the error and see where exactly you are missing something, or we have provided the wrong information. So I'll remove this again, and if I run it, I can see the results over here. So this is how you can write a test cases by using a JavaScript, in a detailed way. So for each and every API, we are going to utilize this, right? Now let's talk about the variables in Postman. So let's take an example. This is my order book API, order book request, where I'm sending a request based on the body. This is the post request basically, and I'm sending this value over here, and let's run it. So over I'm getting the order ID. So whenever I am going to pass this request, sending a request, I will get the new order ID. So if I am going to run my test cases, every time I need to manually change this order ID. So how can I use my variables to overcome this problem? So let's see. So over here you can see this icon. You have to click on this. Now you can see the environment and the global, right? So this is the global variable. So what is the global variable? Let's understand first this. See, in Postman we use a workspace where we all do our all works. So whenever we are saying the variables, so every variable have their scope, whether it's the global way, on the global side, the global scope. If the global scope means that this variable can be used anywhere in the workspace, but if it's collection scope, that means it will use only in a collection. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this global variable. So click on this add button, give the name. This name you can give, as per your convenience, whatever the name you like to provide. Over here in the current value, I'll do one thing, I'll paste it. Let me, or this is my order book, this is the value which I'm getting it. So let me copy this in the global variable, let me paste it over here and save this. So this is the value, I have saved it. Yeah, so my value is saved now. Now if I run this again, it will change again. I guess it's taking some time. Yeah, so you can see this is the new order ID. So if I want to change my order ID, I just go over there, copy this, or I can click on set global and click on this order ID. So now let's check. So you can see my order ID is updated over here. So this is how can the order ID. Now what I'm going to use this global variable. So let's say this is my all orders, right? What it exactly is do, it will, we provide the order ID. Based on that, it will give me the all information of that particular order, right? So For that, this is my order ID, the path variable. I'm going to give order ID. You can see this is the global variable I have defined, and you can see my current value scope is global. So I click on this, I added this. Now what it will do, whenever this request is sent to the server, it will provide the path variable with the value which we have stored in our global variable. Let's call it and see. So you can see this is my ID. Let's verify it. So you can see this is the current value, the order ID which I have passed, this is the value which I have passed, right? So in this way we can pass the values from one ID, from one request to another request, right? Let's say if I change it, if I run it again, this order book, I can see this is the value I have received over here. So let me copy this. In this case I copied, I go, either I can use directly set global variable or copy and go to click on this icon and change it. So let me done this. Now you can see that my value is changed, right? Now again if I run it, so I don't require to change my over here the values, it will directly pick up from the global variable. Now you can see this is the value, the name has been changed over here, this is the value, this is the all information which I am getting it. Hit the like button, and for our motivation please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get the latest update about the extracting data from the response of the API. So when we are running test cases, we have to find the values based on other use case or a test case, and we have to apply on that. So let's take an example. This is my API request. Basically I'm passing a query parameter over here, a type, and getting the result. So let's run this. So when I run it, it's provide me details. This is all the details which I have. Now let's start writing a test case. So the first test case I'm going to write is about getting a code is a 200 or not, right? Now let's read pass the JSON which we receive from. So for that I'm going to create a variable called response pm dot response dot JSON, which will parse it. Now let's print our response and we'll see what happened. So because this is the ID, you can see this is my ID like previously we have done. So let's see. For that, open the console and clear it. Now let's run and we'll see that. So I run it. Now you can see it's undefined. Why is undefined? Because my this value is coming in JSON. Is this is my JSON, and you can see that there's a multiple values are available. So it's become as an array. So let's see. For that, what we need to do. Let me write down console.log response. Now I'm writing 0, giving an index over here, and now I'll run it. So you can see the value over here. This is my value. This is the value I'm getting. So why what happened is this, because this give me, when I get the result, it will give me a result based on as a list, and inside the list there is an array. So to find the object, JavaScript object, we are using the array and providing the indexing into that. Now if I can see, this is the first value which I am getting is available as a false. So based on my use case, I need only which are available at this point of time. So for that, what I need to do, What I'm going to do, I'm giving you multiple options into that, how I'm going to give that. So let's see. So I'm going to create const non-fiction books response dot filter. This is the one function. Inside this function, I'm going to write down book, and under this function I'm giving book dot available equal to true. Why? This is I am giving it. Now what is going to be, it will check and provide me the result on that, right? So let's say I'm saying console dot log writing non-fic books and giving the index 0. So what it will do, it will find all the values, the available values are true, and give us whichever the on the index 0. Let's run it. So if I can see, it's giving me a value, this id 5, name untamed, type non-fiction. So this is, in out of these two values I'm getting only one, because I have given a certain condition that my available would be true. So this is how I'm going to categorize and provide the filters or different parameters on my test case. Now let's write a test case over here. pm dot test, this is my function. Let me say book found, book availability found. Now the function I have to write. So in that case, pm dot. So first I need to check whether it's an object or not. So let's say expected book dot to be an object. Okay, so this is how I'm going to check the object, and if I run it, let's see the result, the two, and what is saying. Let's see. Reference book is not defined. The book reference is not defined. So let me define it. So how I'm going to define it? Const book non fiction books 0. This is how I define it. So I define it. Now let's run it. Now we can see the book availability fine. So this is saying the book is my object, right? Now the another thing I need to check the availability. So I'm saying expect book dot available dot to be true, right? Let me run this. Now we'll see. This is again pass. Now if I write the pm dot expected book dot available dot to be dot equal and writing true inside this. So this line and this one are the similar one. There are no difference. Only the, writing the way of the statement will be different. Otherwise, it will give us same result. So let me run it. So now you can see that, right? So this is how we can do that. And in Postman, we have, a very flexibility to write a code and set the variable. So how we are going to do that? Let's see. Let me close this one first. And over here it says set a global variable. So if I click on this, I get this snippet over here. So this snippet, what is saying? Is saying that you have to give the value over here, right? If I want to set the value of global variable, so I can use this line. So how can I do that? So let me define book id. This is my variable name, and the value which I am going to give is book id over here, right? So let's see the first. So let me over here, this is already available. Let me delete this one first, right? Let me save this. So there is no value over here. Now let me run it and we'll see, right? So I'll run this one. The book ID is not defined, right? So I need to define the value. Just a moment. Over here, sorry, this has to be written in this way: book dot id, right? Now let's run it. So I run this. Now let's see over here. Now you can see the book ID is defined. So what is this? Is my object. Like I have created an object over here. Book is my object, and using the object I am accessing the property of the JSON, which basically the array, and the JavaScript is the array. So I'm getting the properties over here, right? Even though if I want, I can define it in this way, and you can write it down. Let's say if I say, you can use the if conditions also. Like if I say if book, that means the condition is true, then I can write pm dot global dot set, right? And let me copy this line. I can run this one, right? This is how I can run this. And if I run this is, let me delete this one again, and we'll see over here. Let me delete this. I saved it. Now let's run this. If I run it going over there, I can see that. So this is how we can identify. So remember that whenever we work in the response and read a specific values, it will always, it's provide as a list, the array in the list. So JavaScript has to retrieve the iterate the array and then create the JavaScript object, and based on that it will get the each property of that object and provide the values. And based on based on our scenarios, test scenarios, we can define or write a filter criteria over there, right? So this is how we are going to extract the data from our getting response. We have we have understood how to pass the values from one API to another API, so we don't require to enter the values manually. We have seen how to extract the values from the response to work on our test scenarios. Now this is still, we have seen that on the different APIs, but now let's talk about actual automation, how we going to automate all the requests of the APIs and see how this is going to be working. So there is a one functionality available in the Postman which is called a runner. So in that case you have to close all this one, and below you can see this is a runner over here. So you can click on this runner. It will open this interface. You can see this is a run order. This the iteration, delays, data, select files, save response. This is all other information is available. Now what basically runners do, we have to provide the collection, which collection we want to run it, and the sequence. So let's me this is one of our collection we have. So just what you can do, just take it and drop it over here. So you can see all my requests are coming over here, which I can see. And if I want to make a change into my sequence, so I just need to do thing. I'll close it out, and if I want I can just like say this is my authentication key. I put it over here at this stage. This is what I have done. I open runner over here, and again I'll do that, and you can see my sequence has been changed, right? So this is how we can do that. Now there's a one option which is called as the save responses. So remember that you have to save the responses. The reason behind it, that if your test cases fail, so you can identify, you can look into the response. If you are getting any error, you can identify that because of this is the reason my test cases fail, or you can rectify it, right? So let me click on this, the save response. This is a run collection without using a stored cookies. Okay, this is another option which if you want you can choose it. So let me run it. Simple, run simple book API. Now I'm running it. So you can see that now. So my all test APIs are passed. Let's see. You can see that. Okay, this is how is going to be run it. Right? You can see that. Get status, authentication key, get books, get books type, get path available, order book. Right? This is all order books update. Now on any API request, if you want to see the response body, you have to click over here. This is it will open. You can see this is how it's going to work it, right? So let me show you how this is things is going to work in, right? So if let me take an example, let me take this one, the order book. My status code is 201, right? So on the order book, what I'm going to do deliberately, I'm changing my status as 0, which is deliberately I'm doing, I'm failing my test case. It's not working, just a moment. I think some problem hanging in my system. So let me do that. I'm writing over here. It is stereo cost 200. Just do this. Yeah. So this is what I have written. Whenever my order is created, order is booked, I have to get the 201. But I have deliberately changed my status code as 200 to fail this test case. So let me save this. Now I'm going over here. I'll run it again, and we can see that my test case is failed because it's saying that as the expected response to have status code is 200 but get 201, right? So this is how we can run my all test cases through the collection runner. And so whenever you are planning your running your API to test, so in that you can derive a scenario where you are running your APIs, and based on that you are providing the values. Let me give you the example. In the order ID, this is the value I have at this point of time. Okay, and this is my order book over here. In order book, what I need to do when I run this, the order ID I get it over here, and this is my order ID which I provided. So for that, what I need to do, and this all order ID, my parameter is my order ID over here, right? So whatever the value, so in order book, what I'm going to do is in the test itself, I'm going to write constant response equal to pm dot response dot json, right? And what I'm going to do is pm dot test, oh sorry, dot pm dot test, because I need to set the global way set, and I have to give order ID. This is the the global variable name I have, and over here I have to give the response dot order ID. So this is how I'm going to give it. So what it will do, let's run this one, and you can see this is my value I'm getting it. And over here, just a moment, let me save this, and I'm going to run this again. It's saying something wrong, right? Because response is not defined. Just a moment, I copy this over here, paste it, and save and run it. Yeah. So this is my status code because deliberately I failed. Put it as a 200. Now see the body, response body. This is my order ID, and let's see the order ID. So now you can see my order ID is changed, right? Accordingly. And in this order id I am passing this one. So this is how you can define it, that from uh, one API request getting response, and if I need to pass any value to another API request, I can create a variable, and those variable can be called in my the next API. Now let me run this. This is my simple book API. So this is going to be fail again. So this is the button run again. Let me click on this so I can see this is going to be run again, right? So this is how we use the context runner over here. Now the second thing which we are going to understand about the sequence of request order. Now sequence of request order, how it's going to work it. So as we discussed, that if I running through my runner, I can directly change my request order over here. I can move over here again along this, and there's another way which we can use it. Let me show how. So suppose I want to call order book after my get status. So what I am going to do, this is my get status. Over here I am going to write postman dot set next request, and what I'm going to give the the exact name of that value, which is this. So let me copy this. This is the name. Over here what I am going to do, I'm going to paste it over here. Now I'll save it, and let me run this the entire one over here. So now you can see this is in this order, my get status, auth key, get book and all, and the order book on this at this point. But when we are using a send next request, what it will do, it will run order book after my get status. Let's see how it's going to do that. So I run it. Now you can see I have run. So it's my get status, order book, all order, update order, delete order, right? So it's what it is done, it will escape it. So either I can move this order book over here. Let me do the let me move this one over here. So not all order, order book over here, and then going to run it again, right? So let me open again this one. Now I'm moving it, and we'll see the difference, right? Let me do this. So I can move this one. Now let's run it. So when see, if you can see this, so there is a no way, there is a no harm if you are writing a code of postman dot set next request, and after that you are putting that particular request in the sequence, it will do the same work. So this is how we are going to work on it. Yeah, so you can see this. So my all are going to execute in this way. This is how I now suppose uh, this is auth key. I the after the update order, I don't want to execute any other request. So in that case, what I'm going to do is, let me show. So I open this, going into the test. Let me put it over here. Status code I'm writing over here, which would be 204, I guess. Let's check this one on the 204. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm using a postman again dot set next request, and over here I have to provide the value null. So in that case, what it will do, it will not execute my the next API request. So let's see. So let me save this one. I close this, open my runner. This is how I'm doing it. Now I'm going to run this. So you can see after the update order, there is nothing is over here. There's the delete order is not going to show, right? This is how we can, or if I run again, you can see The delete order is not available over here. So this is how we are going to use the next for running our sequence. So this is how we can define our request. So basically there are different ways to execute your APIs based on how they are working and interact to each other. So by using a sequence or and the collection runner, we can define it to run it. And there is an option that you can see the iteration. So how many number of times you want to execute your test cases. So this is, you can define the iteration 2 or 3, the delay which you require to between the execution. So you can provide this in this way. Now the next part is monitor. So you can see over here, this is my monitor. So what basically it is, let's understand this. This is one of the important part when we doing the automation API testing using Postman. So create a monitor over here. I give the name for simple book. This is the name which I am giving over here for this monitor. I'm going to select the collection. We have only one collection at this point of time, so I'm just selecting this simple book API. There isn't, the collection tag is current. There is no API over here. I can provide the, run this monitor every week timer or hour timers, every day when I want to, every day, like week, every day, every Monday, right? And this is the time which I am going to give it, right? So basically what it's do, it will create, it will run your APIs on the Postman environment. It doesn't matter, it's not going to run on your local machine or the others on your server side. It will run on the in that environment. So this is how I'm providing it, right? So I have created this. So my this one is created. So now I have set the schedule. So without a scheduling part, I if I want to run it, my execution. So there is a button called run which we are going to click it, and I'm going to see how the monitor will show me the results and what I can measure from looking into this functionality. So let me, I have clicked on the run. Now it's running. Now this is, you can see it's showing me two failed tests, zero errors across one region, right? So now you can see this is okay. On this is, this one is passed, right? This one is passed, this one is fail. You can see this is my fail, why it's failing. So you can identify it, right, that this is failing. Why it's failing, you can see that this is the fail, the status code is 204. So when you click on this, it will collapse it. This is the console log. You can see the console log, what exactly the console log is. So it's saying the failed status code is 200, expected response to have status code 200 but got 201. So you can, in the console log, you can see that, yeah, where my APIs are failing and what is the reason behind that. So this is how you can get all the requests in the monitor. You can see when it's run, what would be the percentage and all, and which reason you are going to run it. So this is the reason, you can see that, right? So this is how the monitor will work. So you can see that how the manual has been run, how the schedule runs, the webhook, if there's any webhook you have done. So this is the all requests, the get book. If I say all orders book, so I can see this is, and this is the clear filter. If I say order book, so I can see only the order books related. If I click over here, I can see which are the past fails. You can see that, right? So this is how we are going to use the monitors over here. Run summary, if I click on the run summary, I can see the entire run summary. Now the this is the one way to get the reporting part from the Postman itself. Now we are going to understand about the HTML. If I want to get the report by using external resources, external APIs, then how we can use it. So let's see, let's look into that. Which we are going to understand is the Newman. So first understand what is a Newman. Newman is a CLI tool Let me show you. So basically, Newman is a command line CI tool which can be used for execution of our collection runners, like we have done through the collection runners, running our all the request which is available in the specific collection. So same thing we can do with the Newman CLI. And also, if you have experience in the CLI, you can integrate with the Jenkins or any CI tools to work it. Now let's see how to work on it. But before installing for working with the Newman, you have to install the Node.js, and then you can work on it. So already on my machine I have installed this, right? So let's see how you're going to. So this is the command to install your Newman. Let me show. Open the terminal. I have. Let me clear this. Yeah. So let me show you Newman hyphen version. So it will show me that, yeah, I have a latest version installed on my machine. Yeah. So this is how. Now when we are going to run it through the Newman, how is going to be done? Let's see. So for that I required a JSON. As you can see over here, that I required Newman. This is the command using the Newman CLI to run my collections. So Newman run, and I have to provide the collection which I have. Yeah. So how I'm going to do that? Let's see. So you have to go over here. There's a two ways. You can click over here. The first one is share location. You can click on share location. Now click on the get public link. Over there, this is a public link which you can get it. You can copy it. But remember one thing: when you are updating anything into your collection, it will be not updated. So whenever you are going to copy this public link, you have to click on the update link. So it will update your collections and then provide you update links. This is the one. Let me copy this. Let me click on this. Now I have copied this. Let me note it down somewhere, so which we, so later on we can use it. Right. Now this is the one way. The second way is that you have to click over here. Come over here. This is the export. Just click on the export button and export it. I have already export, so I'm not going to export. But when you click on this, it will ask you to store. It will be in a JSON file, in a JSON extension. So you have to work on it. So I have saved it. So let's run this through the Newman CLI. So how is going to be run it? This is my terminal. Now Newman run. You have to go to that folder first where my JSON is installed. So if I run it, now this is, you can see this is my JSON, the collection. Basically this is my collection. It's stored in this folder. Now I'm going to run it. So you can see that my all the collections are start executing it. It's showing me that this is has been done. So you can see this is the Newman CLI report. You can see that number executed is 9, assertions are 9, and the fails are 2. It will give me a total report that number of duration has been run 5.3 seconds, total data received, how much data received in byte. This is giving me the complete information. So this is how I can run it through the Newman. And for more details, you can go through the documentation. You can see this is how it's going to be. There are different ways to run it, using a Newman as a library if I want to. Okay, so this is how you can work on it. Like these are the different command line options which you can use it. Like this we I have used for work on it. But if you are going to use this one, let me show you. If I say Newman hyphen help, what it will do, it will give me all the details, command and all. That this is my command, how I'm going to run it. Right. So this is going to work on it. Right. Now let's talk about, so this is how we are getting the reports on the terminal side. There's another way to get the report which is called a Newman HTML report. Let's see how this is going to work. So This is so this is how we are going to work on the Newman reporter using a Newman reporter. So it's provide me a details, completely details user interface where I can see all my executions report, the logs in a detailed way. So let's see how it's going to work. And so this is the way, this is the command which you need to require to run on. So it will install on your system and then you can run it. So for running it, how we are going to do it? So for this, my command is new man run over here, Newman run my API, which is I am going to use, or let me use it the public link which we have copied it. So this is my run. Now over here you can see these are the CLI options which you can use it to run it. So we are going to use -r HTML extra, or I can use -r CLI HTML extra. Right now, let's run it. So you can see this is it's started. You can see all the details in the format. What is my this one now? You can see this is the iteration request. This is the same result which we have run the previous time, and see this now. But the only thing is, the only difference is that we have a report, HTML report also. So let's see the HTML report we have. So in your location where you have your file, there is a folder called a Newman. In my case, this is my folder. This is the report which I get it. Let's see the update, the modified one. Open it into browser. Now you can see this is the total number of iteration that has been run, total assertion, how many fail, all the details you can see it. So if I, this is my collection API file information, timing data, everything I can see over here, right? This is if I click on total request. So these is my total request. If I click on the failed one, I can see this is what has been done. All the information I'm getting over here. This is my request body. This is my response header. This is my response body. What has been the status is called. So what would the status code is, the assertion error is. So this is how you can use the HTML report in a very different way, to see, and you can see all the details about each and every request which you have raised it. If you want so this is how we can use HTML reports, work with the CLI to execute our collections, the HTTP request, automate that, all the things. And if you are more interested to going to the deeper side of the API testing which you want, then the next you can learn about the data driven test authorization using the auth2 authorization, and you can start work on your API automation testing itself. Now, I hope you have enjoyed this session and learned something about how we can do automate testing of APIs using a Postman tool. Thank you very much. And if you like this video, please click on like button. If you are still not subscribed our channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can get latest update from our channel. Thank you a lot.